Myths of the Mundas, Part 3. The Consecrations of Arche by Punctilius Tyrus. As a novice of the Order of Arche, you enter a service that will both be an exaltation and a burden to you. We who serve the Lord of the Wheel of Life are tasked with protection of the souls of all mortals, both bound and unbound. For there are those in Tamriel and from beyond Tamriel who prey upon the souls of others. Heretics would divert the souls of the dying to unlawful destinations. Necromancers would bind the souls of the dead to an afterlife of eternal slavery, and the Daedra lords feast upon the mortal souls like ravening wolves. All these we abominate and derive them forth from the realms of decent folk with the fire and hammer, and to aid us in this our great work, Arche has given us his 3 consecrations. Arche's grace, which we bestow upon birth to protect the souls of the innocent until they are old enough to exercise their own volition. Arche's blessing, which we bestow upon the dying to prevent their souls from being used without consent. And Arche's law, which we bestow upon the deceased, that their corporeal forms may not be raised to unlawful servitude. There is no more sacred trust than that of the order which you enter today, novice. Be strong, and waver not, for the enemies of life are ever watchful, ready to punish negligence with swift and ruthless cruelty. The Firmament. Copyist note: this book appears to be about the reputed qualities of the birth signs for those born under certain constellations, and does not describe those mysterious stelae commonly referred to as the Mundastones. Fulk's Preferred Text by Fulk. The stars of Tamriel are divided into 13 constellations. 3 of them are the major constellations, known as the Guardians. These are the Warrior, the Mage, and the Thief. Each of the Guardians protects its 3 charges from the 13th constellation, the Serpent. When the sun rises near one of the constellations, it is that constellation's season. Each constellation has the season of approximately 1 month. The Serpent has no season, for it moves about the heavens, usually threatening one of the other constellations. The Warrior. It is the first Guardian constellation, and he protects his charges during their seasons. The warrior's own season is last seed, when his strength is needed for the harvest. His charges are the Lady, the Steed, and the Lord. Those born under the sign of the warrior are skilled with weapons of all kinds, but prone to short tempers. The Mage. The Mage is a Guardian constellation whose season is Rain's Hand, when magicka was first used by men. His charges are the Apprentice, the Golem, and the Ritual. Those born under the sign of the Mage have more magicka and talent for all kinds of spellcasting, but are often arrogant and absent-minded. The Thief is the last Guardian constellation, and her season is the darkest month Evening Star. Her charges are the Lover, the Shadow, and the Tower. Those born under the sign of the Thief are not typically thieves, though they take risks more often than others, and only rarely come to harm. They will run out of luck eventually, however, so rarely live as long as those born under the other signs. The Serpent wanders about in the sky and has no season, though its motions are predictable to a degree. No characteristics are common to all who are born under the sign of the Serpent. Those born under this sign are the most blessed and the most cursed. The Lady is one of the warrior's charges, and her season is Hearthfire. Those born under the sign of the Lady are kind and tolerant. The Steed is one of the warrior's charges, and her season is mid-year. Those born under the sign of the steed are impatient and always hurrying from one place to another. The Lord's season is first seed, and he oversees all Tamriel during the planting. Those born under the sign of the Lord are stronger and healthier than those born under other signs. The apprentice's season is sun's height. Those born under the sign of the apprentice have a special affinity for magic of all kinds, but are more vulnerable to it as well. The Atronach, often called the Golem, is one of the mage's charges. Its season is sun's dusk. Those born under this sign are natural sorcerers with deep reserves of magicka, but they cannot generate magicka on their own. The Ritual is one of the mage's charges, and its season is morning star. Those born under this sign have a variety of abilities depending on the aspects of the moon and the divines. The Lover is one of the thief's charges, and her season is sun's dawn. Those born under the sign of the Lover are graceful and passionate. The Shadow's season is second seed. The Shadow grants those born under her sign the ability to hide in shadows. And the Tower is one of the thief's charges, and its season is frostfall. Those born under the sign of the Tower have a knack for finding gold, and can open locks of all kinds. The Pig Children by Tyston Bane. No one, not the oldest dark elf of Mount Dagoth-Ur, or the ancient sage of solitude himself, can recall a time when the orc did not ravage our fair Tamriel. Whatever foul and pestilent daedra of the oblivion had conjured them up could scarcely have created a more constant threat to the well-being of the civilized races of Tamriel than the obnoxious orc. Orcs are thankfully easy to recognize from other humanoids by their size, commonly 40 patans in height and 15,000 agans in weight, their brutal, pig-like features, and their stench. They are consistently belligerent, morally grotesque, intellectually moronic, and unclean. By all rights, the civilized races of Tamriel should have been able to purge the land of their blight eras ago, but their ferocity, animal cunning, and curious tribal loyalty have made them inevitable as leeches in a stagnant pool. Tales of orcish barbarity precede written record. When Jagastra wrote of the Order of Diagna's joining of the army of Daggerfall and Sentinel to hold at bay the wicked orcs in their foul Orsinian fastness and burn aught in cleansing flame, First Era 950, she assumed any reader would be aware of the savagery of the orcs. When the siege was completed 30 years later, after the death of many heroes, including Gaiden Sinjin, and the destruction of Orsinium scattered the orcish survivors throughout the Rothgarian mountains, she further wrote, "The free peoples rejoiced, for that their ancient fell enemy was dispersed into diverse parts." Obviously, the orcs have been terrorizing the region of the Iliac Bay at least since the early years of the First Era. I hope you've been enjoying these lore readings, and if you have, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.